Yo, what's happening, people? I'm back again for another stream. Welcome to the GavGoesIn podcast, guys. So today there's something that I wanna discuss, and again, big up everyone for coming through as well. Make sure as well, guys, you smash that like button. Obviously, help the channel to grow. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do. So let's talk about Phil Foden. Phil Foden, someone that for me, when I first see him make his debut for Man City, I believe he might have been 17 as well, I think, when he made his debut for them. And, the kind of player that Phil Foden is for me, in terms of his ability, he's someone that on the ball, very technical, he can pass the ball. He's got a good shot on him, he's got a good dribble on him as well. And you'd think him coming through this Man City system, he would have been ideal, to be one of the leading players for them surely in the future, and I think in his early seasons, I think he's 24 now, Phil Foden, but I think when he was probably about 19, 20, I think you could see what a player he was going to be, and again, like, I think in terms of his position, he's someone that can play, as a 10. I think he's a natural 10 anyway. He can play from the right. He has played from the left. And obviously can play centrally as well. And has played as a false nine, And again, I think the problem with a lot of these managers now is that, they need very adaptable players. And someone like Phil Foden, who has played, you would say, all across the attacking areas, although it shows his versatility, but I would say, these kind of things ruin a player because he's never been able to hold down a regular spot. And guys, before I finish that off, what did I say the other day? Big up to DXR. What did I say the other day about Florian Wirtz? Guys, I did tell you, but again, if you check out my poll that I done, where would Florian Wirtz most likely end up? Obviously, a lot of people was saying Bayern Munich. I did say Man City, and it's looking like he's going to be going to Man City. But obviously, still early days, but we have to wait and see. Big up to Reluctant Gamer. So, yeah, just back to what I was saying. So, yeah, Phil Foden. I think, personally, the fact that he's played in so many different positions, I think that's kind of hindered his development because he's someone now, and even for England as well, he's someone now that you would say, where does he actually play? I think personally, he's a number 10, someone that plays in that number 10 position, connecting the midfield to the attack. And, but I think what's happened to him now, and as I said, as it says in my thumbnail, I think Phil Foden's regressed. Now, we can say, is that because of Pep or is that because of the player himself, Before we get on to that, just go through some of the numbers, because I think there is something there that I was a bit surprised about. But, so obviously Phil Foden, 24 years of age, I think at City he's won, 6 Premier Leagues, 4 League Cups, 2 FA Cups, 1 Champions League, 1 Super Cup and 1 Club World Cup. He's made almost 200 appearances in the league for Man City, with a return of 61 goals and 28 assists, which, to be fair, is decent. You're looking at 89 goal involvement, you would say, which is decent. Champions League, 61 appearances, 18 goals, and only 4 assists. And again, I thought, he would have had at least more assists than that. But England caps, 45 caps and 4 goals for Phil Foden, And I think, as I said, the kind of player that he is, I think he's someone that we shouldn't be looking at for numbers, in my opinion, And again, if you've been watching my my channel, you will know that, I'm just putting these GA things into the conversation, just for other viewers. Because I know other viewers do like the GA talk, but I'm someone that I don't really care about that talk, really. I look at the player. And from a technical standpoint, for me, Phil Foden is a very good player. But what I would say, he has regressed and he hasn't gone on to be the player that many thought. When he broke onto the scene, obviously winning the Under-17 World Cup as well with England, there was talk about him being England's next big thing. I would comfortably say now he doesn't hold a place down automatically for Man City or England, I would say. And if you look at Man City's team now, if you look at the right hand side in terms of the wingers, so the way that City like to play, and they've got the left footers inverting, so you would think that Phil Foden slots into there seamlessly, but they've got Savinho, who they've bought, who's a pure winger, and is more effective as a winger for me than what Foden is out there. And then you've got Oscar Bob as well, who's coming back from a long injury. And for me, both players are the future for Man City on that right hand side, being inverted left footers on that side. And I think the thing is as well is that they're actual wingers out there, that can stretch the pitch, can cut inside and obviously link with the striker or get shots off. And I think Foden up against those two in that position, I think those two are better. Again, on the left-hand side, the days of having a left footer on the left-hand side, and I think what people need to understand as well in terms of having a left footer on the left-hand side is in the days of the 4-4-2, that position was ideal for the striker in terms of going around the outside, whipping crosses in. Obviously the game's changed now, which is why you're seeing inverted left footers on the right and right footers on the left, because it gives more options. And if you've got a fullback that wants to overlap, that's the option there for the cross or to link with the with your fullback. So I don't see Foden playing out on the left hand side purely because he's left footed. And again he's going away from the game when he plays out on the left, so he doesn't really have a place there either. So you're looking at the number 10 position. Obviously Kevin De Bruyne leaving, and again you would say that Phil Foden is primed and ready to step into the shoes of Kevin De Bruyne. For me, as I said to you guys earlier, Florian Wirtz. I did say Florian Wirtz will be a major target for Man City because you're looking at one of the best attacking midfielders in the game right now, and you're losing, obviously, a highly influential player in Kevin De Bruyne. And Foden, for me, this season hasn't shown that he's got what it takes to take over from De Bruyne. So if Florian Wirtz does come in the 10, he'll be the first choice, as well as you've got players like Omar Marmoush, who can play as a striker, can play in the 10, can play in the left as well. So the thing is, where does Foden actually fit in this team? And you've got the same thing for England as well, guys, because if you look at Foden for England, you would say Bukayo Saka is ahead of him as on the right for England. You've got the likes of Cole Palmer, whose best position for Chelsea for me is on the right, but has been playing as a 10. He's ahead of Foden for me. And who would have thought that? Because Foden made his debut before Cole Palmer. But I'd comfortably say that that Cole Palmer is better than Foden in terms of being a maverick, because I think Cole Palmer can just get the game by the scruff of the neck and make things happen. I think Foden is more of a system player, So for England, Saka and Cole Palmer are ahead of him in that position there. Then you look at the 10. Again, they managers like to play Bellingham in the 10, who's been playing ahead of Foden. Then you've got the likes of Morgan Rogers, who for me is England's best talent right now, I would say, along with Cole Palmer. Then you've got Eze, who can play in the 10 and play from the left. And again, the same situation with Foden for Man City. You're not going to see him play out on the left wing. And again, you've got the likes of Anthony Gordon, Marcus Rashford, obviously Sancho, who doesn't even get picked, which is madness, that can play out there as well. So again, I think the fact that, and guys, I will get back to your questions, don't worry, I will do. The fact that, Phil Foden cannot hold down a place for both Man City and England, big up I Am Titanium, then as I said, I think it's a problem. And do I think Pep's to blame for that? Slightly, I would say, because the system that Foden is playing in, as I say, he's more or less a jack of all trades but a master of none, you would say. And I think for me personally, I think Foden's at an age now where really he needs to be saying to Pep, look, I want to be playing there. And if he doesn't hold down a regular spot, I can never see Man City selling Foden, but I can see Foden being more of a squad player. And I think his pathway to the first team was, again, youngster, squad player, and then eventually being a starter. But as I said, I think if Florian Wirtz comes into this team, which is to be expected, I think Foden's going to find a tough time getting any game time, as a regular starter. I think you'll probably see him playing more cup games, if anything, like the FA Cups, the Carabao Cups, and obviously the Premier League games, but I don't think it'll be an automatic starter, because I think what Man City are going to do this season in the summer, in the window, I think they're gonna go all out for me. Obviously, there's been links to Wirtz, to Tijani Reinders. If they get Reinders in, I mean, Reinders and Rodri in that midfield, with a Florian Wirtz in the 10, I'll tell you now, that's them winning that league. I can bet you that, because what they've got coming back as well. If Oscar Bob can rediscover the form as well, that people were talking a lot highly about him, with Savinho on that right hand side. Obviously, Marmoush will be more experienced in the league now. Left hand side, Grealish for me is still a top player, and they should still keep him. Obviously, Jeremy Doku's there as well, who is someone I don't really rate, but they might not upgrade that position. So again, man, I think they're going to be going all out, but I don't think Foden is going to be a key player for me if they make them acquisitions, I would say. But big up, guys. Go through the comments. So DXR says apparently Foden had personal issues, which is why his performance dropped. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if I really buy that. I mean, yeah, personal issues are personal issues, but for me, his performances as a whole this season, no one's talking about it, And again, this is what the media do. The media have built Foden up to be, this player in terms of England's next big star. And it's quite safe to say that he isn't going to be that, because he's now been overtaken by not only Cole Palmer, but Saka is thought of highly more than Foden now. Morgan Rogers for me is ahead of him. And there's other players that are liked obviously by the fan base and by managers that are higher than him as well. So, but the media don't talk about it because we know really why that is. If it was a certain Jadon Sancho, you wouldn't hear the end of it. But the problem is Foden hasn't been performing for the whole season, and it's quiet. And you have to ask yourself, why is it only certain players that are getting crucified, but someone like him, who was tipped to be, one of England's best talents, it's safe to say he's fallen off. And again, do I think Foden can rediscover his form? I think the ability that he has, there's no doubt that he can, but whether he has the hunger, whether he has the mentality, I don't know. And I think the fact that he's not someone that can grab the game by the scruff of the neck, it's going to be difficult for him, because especially for England, you can see the England team is crying out for players like that. Someone that just goes and does their own thing and wins England games, really, you would say. And Foden isn't that, And as I said, he may have had personal issues, but there's no denying that he isn't the same player that many thought, or that he has been showing in his early stages. So Gamer says, I prefer Palmer. Foden versus Palmer, good question. Yeah, no, listen, Cole Palmer's a better player than Foden. He is, Cole Palmer's just got more to his game in terms of, Cole Palmer just, he's one of them players that, and again, the game doesn't have too many of these players. Someone that would just get on the ball and it's like, yep, Palmer's going to do his thing now, and, he's got that special quality, and he's got the arrogance, but a good arrogance, Palmer, that he can just, call time when he wants to on a game, because he's that good. You look at Lamine Yamal does that. Neymar in the past, Messi, Paul Pogba, Eden Hazard, these type of players that, they just get the ball and you just know something's going to happen. Arjen Robben, Frank Ribery, You know what I mean? There's been loads of players of that ilk. Ronaldinho, Zidane, you know, all the top players have that in their game. But I don't think Foden has that. But, you know, on a technical standpoint, as I said, Foden is a good player. But Cole Palmer is technically very good. But he just has that bit extra to what Foden offers, you know, for me. And as I said, can Foden get back to the level that he was showing early on in his career? I don't know. I think the jury's out because, as I said, if Florian Wirtz comes in, there's no chance, you know, because Foden's going to find game time hard to come by, I believe, you know. And as Titanium says, Foden's never shown it for England. Yeah, exactly. I think Foden was thrust into the England team because, again, what England have done down the years, they look for a saviour. You know, if you look at the history of England, it was Gascoigne before. Then it was, well, you look at it was John Barnes, then it was Gascoigne, then it was Shearer, then it was Michael Owen, Wayne Rooney, Ross Barkley. Now it's Harry, then it was Jack Wilshere. Then it was Harry Kane, and now it's Jude Bellingham. And this is what England do. They always try to look for, you know, the number one player to get them over the line. And it's never going to happen. And then Foden before Bellingham. It was probably Foden before Bellingham. And now it's Bellingham, the talk of the town, you know. So this is what England do. They always look for that one player that they think is going to take them over the line. But don't realise that it's not going to happen because these other nations just have too much about them. Too much quality in their team. But again, Foden, 45 caps and 4 goals, you know, is poor, really, considering the hype that he's got and, you know, the player that many thought he was going to be. And as I said, his England future for me is in jeopardy because he definitely doesn't start in any of the positions, you know, at the moment. And it's going to be hard because, as I said, for me, England have to find a place for Morgan Rogers, whether that's in the 10 from the left. He has to play for me. Eze, for me, has to play as well on that left-hand side. I think England going forward, if they had a front three, an attacking three of Eze from the left, Morgan Rogers in the 10, and then Cole Palmer from the right, you know, and then bring back the likes of a Sancho as well and have like Saka as part of the squad. I think that'll be frightening, you know. But for me, Foden doesn't figure into that, which, you know, is quite surprising, but it is what it is. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, come on, make sure we smash the like button. There's only 3 likes in there, guys. Let's try and at least hit 10. You know, it's only just one press of the button. And as I said, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do and check out my other content. And guys, let me know if you don't agree with me. If you think Phil Foden has just had a bad season and you think that next season he'll come alive, let me know. Or do you think Foden's days are numbered at Man City? Because for me personally, I don't see Man City ever selling him, but I don't see him being an automatic starter if the likes of Florian Wirtz comes in. Because let's be honest, Florian Wirtz is, for me, he's probably the best 10 in the game right now, you know, from central attacking positions, you know. But let me know, guys. But big up yourselves each and every time. And as I said, if it's your first time coming in there, it's not too much to ask. Just smash that like button and let's try and get up to 10 likes, guys, and subscribe to my channel. But big up yourselves anyway. So I Am Titanium says, I think Foden has always been a squad player. I think, to be honest with you, when he first came in, his trajectory, I would say, was, you know, young player just making his way into the game, you know. But I think many fans, many Man City fans, England fans, would have thought that he would have been, you know, the heir to Kevin De Bruyne, you know, an automatic starter. Kevin De Bruyne is leaving now, and I can't tell you that Foden's going to be a definite starter for England, for Man City, because, as I said, the links to Florian Wirtz from last night is that he was in England and they're negotiating, which is what I did tell you guys as well. You know, if Man City really want Florian Wirtz, he'll go Man City because there's an ideal spot for him in that team. And as I said, if he goes there, I don't know where he's going to get his game time. So Gamer says, another great question. Who would you rather, Foden, Grealish, or Palmer? That, do you know what? That's a hard question, because for me, I think Jack Grealish is one of the best players in the league, easily. You know, I think the amount of criticism that this guy gets is unjust. I mean, the quality of him. I mean, he's not someone that gets mad numbers. And again, this is an error, as I keep saying, that people just focus on numbers. But his quality on the ball, you know, he rarely loses the ball, and if he does lose the ball, it's because he's getting fouled. So Foden for me is comfortably third, and that doesn't mean Foden isn't a good player, but it's a hard list involving them three. I would probably say just Cole Palmer, you know, but to think that all three of those players are either at Man City or was at Man City just shows you how strong they are, really, you know. But I would say just Palmer, but Jack Grealish for me is a top player, man, and if Man City can get him firing on that left-hand side, you know, or if they want to play him as a 10, and then if Florian Wirtz comes in, he can play from the left as well, or you've got Marmoush there as well, they're gonna be frightening, man. So yeah. But Titanium says I'd have Aston Villa Grealish at he'd have Aston Villa Grealish. Yeah, listen. Jack Grealish he's been ruined really by Pep, let's be honest, because obviously football is very much a system game. But for me, he's a top player, Jack Grealish, and if he goes to another team, you know, that just lets him play with the freedom, you're gonna see Jack Grealish reach the heights again, because players of that quality, you don't get them too often, you know. And but I'm just hoping that, you know, he rediscovers his form, whether that's at Man City or elsewhere, you know. And again, if Aston Villa was to re-sign him, imagine having him, Morgan Rogers, Yuri Tillemans, Marco Asensio if he does sign. You know, that's a potent team there, I'm telling you. Guys, come on, let's make sure we smash the like button, guys. Just press that button if you're enjoying the content. As I said, if you disagree, then put it in the chat. Yeah, I agree. Not under Pep, he won't. Yes, Pep won't allow Grealish to become the player that he was at Villa, which is why he either moves on, or if he thinks that, you know, it's worthwhile staying there to try and win some more league titles, then it's his prerogative, really. But I think a player of his quality, we need to be seeing him play a lot more, because this season he's rarely figured, you know. Gamer says Palmer or Saka. That's an easy one. Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer, easily. You know, and that isn't to say that Saka's not a good player, but, you know, I'm hearing Saka's the best right winger in the world and this nonsense. No, he's not, man. If we're talking about pure footballer, it's Cole Palmer. You know what I mean? But again, Saka's had a decent season, no trophies, but yeah, he's not better than Cole Palmer. He's not. So Southgate should have started Palmer in the Euros final. Yeah, again, there's a lot of things Southgate should have done, but Southgate was an inept manager, and the fact that he was in place at England for that long just shows you that they were never serious in the first place. Because to think that Gareth Southgate was managing England in a Euros final, you know, and again, we need to take these into context, because if you look at England's path from playing the Euros and the World Cup that they got to the semi-finals at, the path was an easy path. I know you got to play who's in front of you, but if they would have played the other side of the draw, they'd have been that long time ago, you know, because Gareth Southgate, when it really matters, isn't going to make the decisions that's going to get England over the line. And that Euros final, Spain were winning that all day long, you know what I mean? It was a matter. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when, you know what I mean? But yeah, so because Palmer should have started, Benham shouldn't have been the 10. You know, there was loads of things he should have done. Harry Kane shouldn't have played as much as he did, because you can tell that he was tired, you know, he was fatigued towards the end of the season. There was loads of things he should have done. You know, the midfield was a joke as well. It took Kobe Mino to come in and save the day. There was loads of things that should have happened. But yeah, guys, come on, let's get up to 10 likes. We're only on 5 at the moment. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already as well. Yeah, Oxlade-Chamberlain as well. Yeah. What's happened to Oxlade-Chamberlain? Is he even still playing? Is he even still playing? But to be fair, he's had a quite a decent career, to be fair. Obviously, Southampton to Arsenal, Arsenal to Liverpool. You know, he's won a few trophies as well. But he's kind of like just disappeared now. But big up. Gamer says Gordon or Foden. For me, I'm gonna say Foden. You know, I think with Anthony Gordon, I think he's a player that a lot of big up to Milky Milo. Yeah, big up for coming on. What I would say with Anthony Gordon, I think in this era of football now, he's someone that he's the ideal profile for a lot of fans that they like to see. Someone that's a willing runner. You know, he's got a bit of quality about him as well. And he's got a determination and a mentality, you know, and again, in this era, I think a lot of fans can relate to that. For me, I look at purely from aesthetics in terms of the footballer. And if we're talking about who's the better footballer, and again, a lot of these things are subjective, but if we're talking about the actual footballer, for me, it's Phil Foden. If we're talking about who can I see, you know, over the next couple of years, you know, being talked about more in terms of playing well, I think you might have to say Gordon at the moment, you know. But again, a lot of these things are subjective because, again, I look at the footballer first and foremost, and there's no doubt in that Phil Foden's a better footballer. But Anthony Gordon at the moment, you know, I know he's just come back from a suspension as well, but he's probably showing more form at the moment than what Foden is, you know. But big up Gamer for the question. Yeah, listen, so getting a bit off topic, but yeah, Kane shouldn't be dropping deep for England, staying up front. You get your chance to score. Of course, like the thing is with Harry Kane's always going to drop deep because, again, if you don't know Harry Kane's career, Harry Kane's actually a number 10. Obviously, you know, he's progressed to being a striker and being one of the world's best strikers. But his natural game is to drop deep and link the play, you know. But he can do both. He can play as a target man and he can drop deep as well. I think for England, the fact that they played Bellingham in the 10, and even though Bellingham is a winning runner to run beyond Kane, England needed someone that's gonna stretch the defense, because when Kane drops deep, and then you got Foden coming inside, you got Saka coming inside, you've got like Anthony Gordon or whoever plays on left, Eze coming inside, you know, and then you've got Declan Rice in there as well and Kobe Minu. It's too packed. So the fact that your striker comes in as well, you know, there's no outball really. So what England needed to do, and again, this is Gareth Southgate's problem. Southgate should have identified this early and not just think because Harry Kane's the captain, etc., you're going to stick with him, because this is what managers get paid for. What he should have done really is drop Kane and bring on someone like an Ollie Watkins who was in the squad, or an Ivan Toney, and let them play as the target man and stay up the pitch, or let Ollie Watkins run in behind to create more space, you know. And these things here are not really groundbreaking news. It's just common sense, you know. If you've got all players coming to the ball and your strikers doing that as well, then what do you expect? There's going to be nowhere to play. And if Kane stays in the England team, he's going to keep doing the same thing. So it's going to be up to a manager that's brave enough to say, look, we need someone that's going to stay up the pitch, you know. And if Kane's not doing that, then we got to change something, you know. If you've got wingers that are pure pace and power, then Harry Kane dropping in isn't a problem because he can spray the ball. But if you've got players like what England have, the likes of a Cole Palmer who wants to cut inside, he's very rarely going to go on the outside. Saka can go on the outside, but comes in field. If you've got players like that, then Harry Kane dropping in is nullified, really. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see with that one. Big up to Barbara Joseph, says, yeah, guys, come on, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Again, this content's free, guys. So if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the discussion, then get involved, subscribe, and smash that like button. One inch wonder says, I'm not going to read that one out. Big up to Agnes 14ish as well. So Gamer says Saka or Foden. Again, it's quite a similar question. Again, if we're talking about a footballer, I would say Foden. But who do I think will have a better career from now? You probably have to say Saka, I would say, because the thing with Saka, as I said, the hype with Saka is over the top for me. But he is playing quite consistently, you would say. But again, if he's not getting over the line with Arsenal, then who knows? Big up to Jay Harrod. Jay Harrod says, who is going to buy the lap? Yeah, for me, obviously it's looking likely he's going to United. And I haven't got a problem with that. I think if United get the lap in and Rasmus Højlund goes at the club, I think that's a great deal. And then, as I said, and I've been saying this, and big up yourself to Jay Harrod, what I would say is, you hear Man United saying they need to go and get an Osman, Gyökeres, a couple of strikers. For me, I'm looking at it as if this manager's not going to be here, because if this manager's not going to be here, this whole three at the back, 3-4-2-1 system is going to be scrapped, I believe, by Ineos if he's not here. So just based on that, I would like to see Joshua Zirkzee just restored as a striker. And if you restore Joshua Zirkzee as a striker and you bring in a Liam Delap, and then you've got a Cheeto who's the third choice, I'm not too disappointed with that, because people keep saying that United need to go and get a 20-goal a season striker, a 30-goal a season striker. Guys, it's a load of nonsense. At the end of the day, if a team ain't creating chances, all this 30-goal season striker, 20-goal season striker is null and void, really. Because let's face it, if Man United create better goal scoring chances, I believe the likes of Zirkzee and Delap will score goals. So this need for a 20, 30-goal season striker is nonsense, because just create better chances. And how do you create better chances? By having a style of play and a system that allows you to get into dangerous areas to create. And as I said, this manager, Ruben Amorim, hasn't been doing that. So I would definitely take the lap at United. But for me, Rasmus Højlund has to go out the club, and I'm hoping Ineos do that. So Chamberlain's currently at Besiktas. Okay. Steve-O says, but Kane is a target man for Bayern, so I don't understand why he does that for England. Because I'll be honest with you, Steve-O, and big up yourself as well. The reason Kane is a target man for Bayern and not for England is easy to understand. First things first is that Kane's captain for England, and Kane knows that no matter what, especially under Southgate, he isn't getting dropped. So in a sense, Kane will do what he wants at England. That's a fact. He's got Thomas Tuchel as well. Thomas Tuchel's a massive fan of Harry Kane, and he'll do. And again, he's very rarely going to drop Kane. So for England, because Kane's the captain, he's more or less just doing what he wants. The problem is for Bayern Munich. He's come to Bayern Munich as, although he's a big name, he's a goal scorer, but Bayern Munich have had better strikers than him win titles there. Lewandowski, the likes of a Gerd Muller back in the day as well. So Kane, obviously, if Vincent Kompany is saying to him to stay as a target man striker, Kane's going to listen, because, again, he hasn't won no trophies club-wise until now. So he's going to be more humble in that sense. But for me, as I said, for England, it's more of a case where until a manager comes in and tells Kane, look, to stay high up the pitch, or drops him, he's going to continue doing that. Because you have to remember, his natural game is to come short anyway. And his link play is very good. His passing's out of this world, really, let's be honest. But for England, it doesn't work, because you've got too many players in that midfield that want to come to the ball, and someone like Kane needs to be playing on as the target man, really. Or better yet, just play someone else. So Titanium says, Ivan Toney has been this. Listen, Ivan Toney should have been, like, as I said, Ivan Toney, when he was at Brentford, should have been competing with Kane to be the main guy for England as the striker. Obviously, we all know it was never going to be Ivan Toney. They tried to bring up this betting scandal, and let's face it, they're not going to want to see a black man lead the line for England. That's a fact. So Harry Kane was always gonna be the main guy for England. And again, Harry Kane's a top player, but Ivan Toney should have been played a lot more. The fact that Ivan Toney now has gone to Saudi, it's very unlikely he's gonna play for England anytime soon, unless he comes back to Europe. But Ivan Toney, yeah, he has been disrespected by the media in this country, because for sure, man, he's probably one of the most all-rounded strikers England has probably produced. He's got pace, he's got strength, he's good in the air, he's technical with both feet. Probably one of the best penalty takers in the game. Score free kicks. He can pass. Like, he had everything to his game, Ivan Toney. And the fact that he was criminally underused by all these managers, yeah, it's an absolute joke, let's be honest. But big up yourself. So Titanium says, would you play Euro and De Ligt in a 2 if Ruben goes? 100%. I think in a 2, for me, I prefer having a left-sided centre back that's left-footed, which is why I was saying, I mean, you got Aiden Heaven there as well, but I would like Man United to go and look at Castello Lacaba from Red Bull Leipzig. I know he's going to cost a bit of money, but Man United need to get profiles, not in this 3 at the back, in the 4 at the back, that are, centre backs that are physical, that are quick, and add balance to the team, and that are comfortable on the ball. I look at Lacaba, and Lacaba offers all of that. I think there was actually a stat going around saying that I think he betters, I think in terms of, is it take-ons? I think it might be. He's top in less take-ons or something like that. Even better in Van Dijk, But he's someone that I would like to see Man United go for. But again, the links have gone quiet to that one. And but for me, yeah, Euro and De Ligt in a 2 would be great. And if you can bring in a left foot, unless you're going to go with Aiden Heaven, for the balance would be better for me. But definitely Euro and De Ligt can play in a 2. This 3 at the back, as I said, I don't rate this 3 at the back. You know what I mean? I think this 3 at the back, is a system that obviously Amorim likes. But I'll be very surprised if Ineos are sticking with this 3 at the back for the foreseeable, even if Amorim doesn't stay. I'll be very surprised, because the philosophy can't be 3 at the back. I just think that because Amorim plays a 3 at the back, and he's the manager that they went for, this is why it's happening. But I don't think their philosophy is 3 at the back. So I'm hoping once Amorim goes, that Man United just revert to a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. Because you've got many players that can fit that system, Steve-O says, if Ruben does leave, who would you bring in to replace him? So again, I've said this before. My top target, even before Solskjaer and Ten Hag, was Zidane. But again, Zidane coming in to this shit show is not going to happen. So if we're looking at other managers in the league, Iraola, Thomas Frank, Roberto De Zerbi, I know he's at Marseille getting them Champions League football. The thing is, I just want a manager that is just gonna, for me, the manager isn't the most important thing, I would say. What's important is the philosophy of the club. If Ineos want to play, attractive football, and they want to bring in technical players, and that's the philosophy, I'm all good for that, And the manager coming in will be picked based on that philosophy. So a manager really isn't the most important thing. It's having a philosophy. Look at Barcelona, for instance. Barcelona's philosophy is look at the type of football they play, tiki-taka. Yeah, that's their style. So regardless of what manager comes in, the manager needs to fit into that philosophy. So that's what I want Man United to do. If Man United bring in a manager that fits into that philosophy, I'm all for that. It's quite clear to see that Ruben Amorim doesn't fit the philosophy of what I would like. But I don't know if this is what Ineos are after. So based on that, he isn't the manager that I thought he was. So yeah, I'm not too fussed what manager comes in. I just want the philosophy to be right, and bringing in the right players. And if you look at Ineos's recruitment, the likes of Mazraoui, De Ligt, Yoro, Joshua Zirkzee, and Ugarte, they've made one bad choice there, and that's Ugarte, because all the others are all football players. So the Ugarte one, I'm putting that down to a blip. But I think at the moment we can be optimistic. Liam Delap, another footballer, optimistic. Cunha, the same. There's been links obviously to Tyler Diblin, who's a top player, footballer. So we'll have to wait and see. But for sure, man, this three at the back, yeah, I'm not backing it, to be honest with you. Dembele or Rafinha? Tough. Rafinha has had a mad season, but I'd probably say Dembele. I'd say, yeah. Crouch or Sturridge? You know what, Peter Crouch, man. Let's not give him any disservice, because a player that tall shouldn't have the touch that he has. But Peter Crouch was criminally underrated. Some of the goals he scored for Liverpool as well, and for Tottenham. Peter Crouch was a very good player, but for me, Daniel Sturridge is arguably one of England's most talented strikers. And again, another player that obviously injury tarnished his career as well, but another player that was criminally underused by England. But yeah, obviously one of the most talented strikers to play for England. Again, this is a guy that come through Man City's youth system. Played for Chelsea and Liverpool. There ain't too many players that do that play for some of the biggest clubs in the country. But it just showed how good he was. And his combination with Suarez and Sterling at that when Brendan Rodgers was manager, yeah, they should have won that league. Big up Steve-O. Steve-O says, but with a big manager like Tuchel coming in, hopefully he has the balls to play Kane as a target man. Well, you would like to think so, but as I said, with Harry Kane likes to be involved in the game. So I think the older Harry Kane gets, he's more than likely going to want to drop in to the midfield and link play. So whether Tuchel tells him to stay up top as a target man remains to be seen. But Harry Kane's not going to want to be on the periphery of the game, especially when you're playing against the better teams that keep the ball. To say to Kane to stay up there as a target man, he's gonna inevitably drop in and try and get onto the ball. So it's a decision that Tuchel has to make, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. They did the same thing with Andy Cole. Yeah. Listen, Andy Cole, Ian Wright. You can even say Les Ferdinand, even though I didn't really rate him that highly. But yeah, listen, we all know the pattern of England. There's no point getting into it. If you're aware, you're aware. If you're not, then more fool you. But we all know the pattern of England. Steve-O says, I love Tony and Watkins, but Kane should be in first, no question. Yes, for certain strategies, for certain teams, change it up, but Kane deserves to start. Yeah, listen, Harry Kane, there's no denying Harry Kane is England's best striker. There's no doubt in that. Ivan Toney, at the time, when he was obviously at Brentford, should have got a lot more game time than Kane. And the problem with England is that it's okay to drop Kane if he's not playing well, If Kane's having a stinker, then change things. But the problem is, Kane plays regardless. And again, it's to the detriment of the team, because, as I've mentioned earlier, if he's always dropping into midfield trying to link play, it's gonna impact the midfield. But because of Kane's profile, he's looked at as England's best player, highest profile player. He's going to keep playing, But there's no doubt in that. Because for me, Ollie Watkins isn't a England caliber striker that England need. He offers a different quality in terms of playing on the last man. But Ivan Toney offers the qualities that Kane does. But he's more of an aerial threat than Kane. And he's physically stronger, I would say. And obviously, he's quicker as well. So he should have got a lot more game times. Titanium says, I doubt it 3 at back would ever work in this country. The thing is, I wouldn't say that. Because Antonio Conte played a 3 at the back and won the league with Chelsea. So I don't go with this narrative that 3 at the back wouldn't work in this country. it can work in this country. The problem is Ruben Amorim's profiling of players, because he plays the wrong players in the wrong positions, and he's very stubborn with it as well. As amongst, you know, his player profiling in who he thinks is good is concerning. So for me, I'm not going to say that the three at the back doesn't work, but with what Man United have at their disposal right now, the three at the back ain't going to work, because the players, you know, the players collectively are better in a different system. The problem that I have with Amorim is that Amorim isn't doing a good job with the players he has, you know, because he's meant to be this supposedly top coach. And to make matters worse, he isn't going to be given 8 or 9 players to try and make his philosophy work, because he isn't doing a good job right now. So this is where it comes down to, you know. But I wouldn't say it would never work, because Chelsea have shown that it does work, you know. But this three at the back is a very niche system, and doesn't really. There's not many clubs that are playing this three at the back. So yeah, I won't say it wouldn't work. It does work, but it's not going to work for me at Man United at the moment. Definitely not. Would you take Ancelotti for United? I'll take him in a heartbeat. I'll take him tomorrow. You know what I mean? If United could sack Amorim, you know, after that final, and Ancelotti's available, go and get it done. You know what I mean? That's a no-brainer. Guys, come on, only 6 likes. Okay, let's try and get 10 likes, guys. Okay, if you like my content, it's not much to ask. Just smash that like button, help the channel to reach more people. And again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe as well. Titanium says, work with Conte at Chelsea, but I think there was a drop-off from other clubs in that season. Well, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I mean, to be fair, to go for a 38-game season playing 3 at the back, you know, is going to take some doing. So, yeah, I think you still have to give Conte credit, you know. And again, Conte isn't a manager that I think should ever be at Man United, but there's no doubting that his 3 at the back did work. Big up to Jess. Well, so who's winning, City or Palace FA Cup final? I mean, if I'm honest with you, City are the favourites, and rightfully so, because, you know, the trophies they've won throughout the years, and you'd expect them to get another one. I've got a sneaky feeling, though, that, you know, Crystal Palace, they're going to cause problems. Whether they win it or not, I don't know. But when I look at Crystal Palace, I look at Eze, Mateta, Ismail Assar as well, Adam Walton. They've got players in their team that have got real quality, you know, and that can hurt City. But I think the experience of City getting to numerous finals, winning so many trophies, I think you'd have to say City are definitely the favourites, you know. But I don't think, if they do win, I don't think it's going to be easy, put it that way. That's what I think. But big up to Jess. Jess, make sure you subscribe, or make sure you smash that like button if you enjoy the content as well. So the Zerbi to United, 100%. I wanted the Zerbi before Ten Hag. You know, I wanted him, obviously, once Ten Hag got sacked as well. But again, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Need City to win. Yeah, City need to win. They do need to win. And if they win, and obviously they're going to get top 4 as well, or Champions League places, then, you know, it's not a season that they're used to, you would say, over the last few years. But, you know, they'll look at that and think, fair enough, you know what I mean? So, Palace will sell all players of value this summer and go down next season. No, that's not true. So Palace are not going to sell. So the likes of, like, you know, I want Eze at United, but Eze, Mateta, Adam Walton, Saw, they're all players that are going to be, Mark Guehi as well. You know, they're all players that, even that Daniel Munoz, the right wing back, you know, they're all players that are going to be sought after. But I think if Palace get rid of players, I think at most you're looking at 2 players, I would say. I don't think they'll sell all their players and weaken themselves. Palace 3rd FA Cup final, 3rd time lucky. Yeah, again, it's going to be difficult for them, but You know, they have a chance, put it that way, because, as I said, they've got players in their team that will cause Man City problems. So, was class for us at Brighton? Who was class? Who's that? Titanium says, do you rate Oliver Glasner? Listen, Oliver Glasner's come in, you know, taken over from Roy Hodgson, and look at the kind of football he's got them playing for one, and he's got them into a final. So, again, this is a guy that won Europa with Eintracht Frankfurt as well. Let's not forget. So he's got pedigree. So the thing with Oliver Glasner is he, again, and this is where this myth about managers needing their own players, this is what I'm trying to say to you, yeah, is that Oliver Glasner's come in, and people will tell you the expectations are different at Man United, which is, again, you're just covering for the manager, just talking nonsense, yeah? He's come in, and has he got his own players? He hasn't. But look at the kind of football he's got them playing. You know, look at the kind of players that look at what he's done to Mateta. Mateta under Roy Hodgson couldn't buy a goal. And look at him now. I think, if I'm right in saying, since Glasner's come to the club, I think only Salah and Haaland have scored more goals than Mateta, I believe, you know? And that's down to Oliver Glasner. And obviously down to Mateta as well. But Glasner's come in and he's just shown, you know, what he can do. Let's be honest. You know. Big up to Sham. Yeah, Sham, no worries, man. So yeah. But again, Mateta is another striker that I'll take at United. You know, if you're looking for an experienced striker, Premier League proven, again, I'll take him at United. But I think the conversation with Mateta has gone a bit quiet. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But as I said, yeah, no problem, Sham, man. No problem. So guys, yeah, as I said, make sure you smash that like button. Okay, one click of the button, as I said, helps the channel to grow. We want to at least hit 10 likes before the end of the stream. We're on 6 at the moment. So again, if you enjoy the content, if you're only just coming in as well, make sure you watch it back. Okay, we've been discussing Phil Foden. What do you think of Phil Foden? Do you think he's regressed? Do you think that he can reach the heights of that was once promised? Or do you think that, you know, Man City will either look to move him on, or he's someone that will become a squad player? And again, guys, what do you think of Florian Wirtz? Obviously, he's in talks with Man City, which, again, I did say, you know, I had people telling me in the poll, in the chat, in the comments, you know, he's definitely going to Bayern Munich. And I did say, if Man City are serious about Florian Wirtz, don't rule out Man City. You know, I can understand the links to Bayern Munich. You know, and again, if you watched my content that, I think it might have come out today, actually. It's coming today? It might have come out yesterday. I think it's coming out today. Florian Wirtz and, yeah. So, guys, 3 o'clock today, I think it comes out. I've done a thing on Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala. So make sure you give that a watch, which is going to be scheduled for 3 o'clock to come out today. But as I said, Man City looking like they're going to be securing Florian Wirtz, and obviously talk with Reinders as well. So have to wait and see on that one. So Sham says he won Player of the Year, so it's a big drop off. Yeah, but well, exactly. I think the thing with Foden, as I said, I've mentioned it earlier today, but he's gonna have a tough time, I believe, holding down a place for Man City if they get Florian Wirtz. And there's many factors. So as I said, if you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it. Watch this stream back. But guys, listen up. Big up each and every one of you for coming on. As I said, you know, some good conversation in there. And as I said, if you don't agree, then put your comments in. But most importantly, guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and you smash that like button. I'm gonna be back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday? Yeah. So I'm back tomorrow, and we're gonna be looking at Man United versus Chelsea coming up on Friday, and we're gonna be looking at again who needs this win more. You know, we're gonna get into it because for me it's a massive game. I believe for both teams, even though there might be people saying that it's a bigger game for Chelsea, but we're gonna get into it anyway. So yeah, make sure you come through tomorrow, guys. I've got it scheduled anyway. And again, if there's anyone that wants to come on camera and do a live stream with myself, just discussing football, make sure you DM me as well, and I can sort out a stream for us to when you guys are free. So as I said, if you are interested, DM me or just comment after the stream's done, and again we'll discuss when we can go on camera together and discuss some football. And again, guys, I'm going to be doing a live watch-along for the Man United versus Tottenham game. So if you are interested in doing the live watch-along again with me as well, let me know. And then I can schedule that as well. And then we can get into watching the game together and see who wins this Europa League. Because it's going to be a tense game for both managers. And as I said, there's going to be no hiding. Before we go, Gamer says Luis Suarez or Neymar. So again, they're not the same player. So one's more of a 10, one's more of a striker. So they're not really direct link players, I would say. But you'd have to say Neymar. But what I would say, two of the best players of their generation, easily. But yeah, they're not direct comparable players. So it's a bit hard to say that. But for me, Neymar for me would have been a Ballon d'Or winner if it wasn't for Messi and Ronaldo. Their combination of winning it time after time. So that's how highly Neymar's rated by me, you know. But Luis Suarez, man, again, one of the best strikers of his generation, along with Karim Benzema, Lewandowski, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, for sure. Big up to I Am Titanium. Yeah, bro, big up for coming on. Yeah, Suarez was a beast. Yeah, he was, man. But guys, as I said, big up to each and every one of you for coming on. Smash that like button, subscribe to my channel. And as I said, make sure you DM me if you want to do the live watch along with me for the Europa League on the 21st of May. Or if you want to come on, you know, and have a conversation with myself on camera. Let me know, guys. And as I said, I'll be back tomorrow. As I said, I can't remember what time I put it on for, but it is scheduled. So make sure you guys come in and, again, give some support like you always do. But, guys, yeah, take it easy, and I'll catch you in a bit.